Diversion. My name's Samuel Sweet. I'm the MD of Sweet Squared, founder of Sweet Squared. But I wasn't always that way. I was a nail professional from a little old town called Salt Lake City, Utah, on the other side of the world, practically. And 25 years ago, working in the salon, I worked in a booth rent salon, building up my business. I'm confident a lot of you guys can relate to the hours that you'd spend in between appointments, just making sure you're there, making sure you're available. This is before you had sort of the modern, amazing technologies of, you know, sitting there taking selfies and posting them online of you sitting there waiting for appointments. Slowly building your books, slowly reducing that time, the free time that you had in the salon, filling them up with clients. And 25 years ago, I sort of started hitting my stride. I remember very vividly hitting my stride, and those times that I had in the salon where I wasn't doing nails became less and less. And I thought, I've made it. You know, whew, this is great. And then a couple of budget or discount salons opened up in my area, and it kind of stalled my growth. And in fact, the salon as a whole lost some customers to these salons. And it was challenging, it was frustrating. You know, you'd speak to people who would come back, say, well, you know, what's the scoop? Well, they're a lot cheaper. But why are you coming back? Well, you know, maybe they don't value the experience as much as you do, the service, the quality of the service, the sanitation, the standards, the quality, the care for the natural nail. So some would come back, but not all would. Effectively, our business was being diverted, and it was being diverted primarily for a price gap, for a price difference. Fast forward 25 years, I'm still getting plagued with diversion, but now just in a slightly different form. And so some things are okay, some things with diversion, it's really just about, you know, some surface level items, you know, some real basic stuff. So some basic things that, I don't have a fancy clicker, so, you know, some basic things that, that attract people to diversion are really at the tip of the iceberg. You've got price savings. And that's really about all it is. It's really generally the key carrot that's held in front of people to say, hey, you know, why don't you just buy this product from me? I can shave a little bit of money off. So, but there are risks with doing that, and there are risks with you as a professional, and there's risks to us as an industry going down that path. Just as there were risks to customers, my customers in the salon, basically trying to go somewhere else to shave some money off and save a little bit of money going somewhere else. Some of the reasons why that the product can be a little bit cheaper buying from diverted sources is that there's really no investment that they make. These people that are selling it, there's no industry investment, there's no consumer investment, there's no PR investment, there's nothing that actually helps drive consumers into your business. It's really just a way to be able to cut that cost out and be able to pass those savings on to you. You know, there's no investments in trade advertising or in trade shows to be able to develop the industry and to be able to develop demand, which in turn drives people into your salons. They don't have to invest in education. There's no education investments. It's freaking easy. You're bringing in boxes for cheap, stacking it deep, selling it cheap. So you can carve these out and you can pass these savings along right away. And the really big opportunity is there's no barriers to selling. Your diverters, the people who divert product, they don't have professional standards. They don't have gates in order to say, hold on, wait a second. Are you educated in how to be able to use this product? What are your qualifications? Can you use these products safely? They'll sell to you, and they'll sell to your customer. So that's where the real cost savings. You strip out the expenses, you broaden the market, and you sell to anybody and everybody, and that equates to some cheaper products. So those are really the tip of the iceberg risks. But the real risks go much deeper than that, and much darker than that. A lot of the diversion comes with the savings with the diversion usually associates or comes with frequently risks to you of tax evasion, HMRC knocking at your door. Usually comes with smuggling, through introducing counterfeits, sometimes 100% counterfeits, sometimes packed out. So you can actually get some legitimate products packed out with actual counterfeits. I'll show you some examples of that. And also dangerous ingredients, banned ingredients. So those are the real risks, the deeper, darker risks of buying through diverted channels. So I'll identify each of these and give you guys some basic examples. So let's talk about the tax evasion issue. Now, there are websites in which you can buy professional products, and your customers can buy professional products, and they advertise blatantly that, hey, it's tax-free, buy from us, save the VAT. Well, that's really attractive for a lot of professionals who are under that VAT threshold, so they're not VAT registered. You know, to a professional, that is a valid expense. And the vast majority of professionals within our marketplace fall under that threshold. So the tax is a bit of a burden. These sites will actually advertise no tax. But yet they're coming and they're shipping from outside of the UK. That's making you responsible for paying the tax on those products. So tax-free when you're importing into the UK is really nothing more than a trap. It's a trap because they don't have that responsibility to actually claim the correct amounts. The UK can't hold somebody else in another country accountable for tax evasion. Guess who they hold accountable? That's right, overwhelmingly. It's the importer. And at that stage, you are the importer if you're buying these products. So here we've got an order. There's several things wrong with this order, but we'll focus on a couple of key bits as they relate here. This is an order from a website that sells diverted goods into the UK. They happily advertise that it's VAT free. You don't have to pay VAT. And you know what? If that actually makes it to you, you probably didn't have to pay it when it landed. And that's because they put the value of the goods at $8.97, even though that parcel cost almost 100 pounds. So right there, you're breaking the law if you bring that in and you actually don't report and pay the appropriate VAT on the total amount plus duties. But duties, they help you with that too. How many of you guys are aware of the trade war between the EU and the US and Mr. Trump and his silly shenanigans? We got into a bit of a trade war, and guess what? The nail industry is taking a bit of a hit. The nail industry is being levied by the EU with 25% tariffs on all goods, nail products coming from the US. But that's okay. The VAT-free company that's very responsible actually will reclassify, this is shellac actually that we brought in, reclassified as hand lotion, because hand lotion isn't actually being carrying the duties currently, the 25% duties. So we've got a couple of issues here. This is the official importing documentation that Customs uses to be able to value the duty and apply the duty. and then to apply the VAT that's appropriate to it. They've lied about it, misdeclared what it is inside, and then they've lied about the value of it. Your invoice will say a totally different amount. That's tax evasion. And because you're actually bringing it in and misdeclaring it purposely for this, and it may not be you, but the bottom line is, it's now your responsibility because you are the importer of these goods. Here's the other issue I have with this. It's sort of not on the diversion bit, but this is sent first class post. And these are all flammable goods. Flammable goods and hazardous goods require very specific and costly investments to be made to be able to safely ship across the ocean in a plane. So, you know, you get enough of these babies going around in first class post underneath, you know, your transatlantic flight. That's a little bit concerning. Every time I fly transatlantic, I just think, how much diverted goods that are actually flammable am I actually sitting on top of right now in the hold? And that's pretty terrifying. But they do all these things because it cuts all those costs out. So they maximize their margin, and they're able to take more from the industry, and they're able to take more from you and put you in hot water. This particular company started, HMRC eventually caught on to these guys, started seizing all the goods. So you could be paying hundreds of pounds for products, not receiving them because they just started seizing them and destroying them. You're sort of out. You kind of can't knock on the door going, I'm kind of missing my parcel I was smuggling in. Have you guys seen it? It's flammable in a paper envelope about yay big. So they got clever and just changed the name of where the company, or the company that was shipping. But HMRC are catching back on. But this is kind of part of the problem. Every time you're dealing with smugglers, you're closing one hole and they go through another crack. The real key to stopping smuggling is to stop supporting it. If there isn't a market there to take advantage of, if there isn't an opportunity for sales for them, the market won't exist. So that's smuggling. And listen, I thought this was a very apt quote. If you're a famous smuggler, you're doing something wrong. So don't be a smuggler, and definitely don't be a famous smuggler. Okay. So talking about counterfeits, imitation. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness. Oscar Wilde. Yeah, that's a really nice way of saying, look, if someone's going to copy you, oh well. But I don't think Oscar Wilde ever had somebody dressing up as him, trying to sort of take his customers and knocking off his books and his poems. Sometimes in the world of counterfeiting and imitation, we deal with this quite a lot. It's an excessively large industry. It's a scarily large industry, especially in fashion and cosmetics. Sometimes it's easy to spot the fake, though. Sometimes it's not too subtle. A little bit of effort, you can kind of go, yeah, I don't think that's really Nike. That one's okay. Get it? Oh, sometimes we get really, you know, why have just 2 arches when you can have 3? So it's really raising the bar, raising the 50% more arch right there. Somebody's fried chicken. And finally, my favorite, Obama fried chicken. So this is flattery, I guess. So, and something that every brand deals with. The more in demand a brand becomes, the more likely there are people to try to ride off the coattails of that. And I guess that is imitation and that is flattery, but you clearly know what you're buying and what you're not buying. But sometimes it's not quite so simple. Well, this one's still probably a little bit of a closer than normal flattery. Those of you guys that are familiar with our brand Shellac from C&D, we had some imitations that came out quite in large amounts several years ago. Looks pretty much like a shellac box, well, patent pending even. Until you look, flip it over and you're like, okay, yeah, all right. Well, look, it's sort of like that Obama fried chicken, right? Kind of looks like it if you look at a quick glance, but really, okay, CCO, carbon copy of, looks really pretty much like, just like shellac at first glance. And it's not just shellac, they did this too as a lot of the top brands. You know, you guys know Gelish has suffered the same thing. So this is imitation, but it really wasn't particularly flattery. So George Bernard said, imitation is not just the sincerest form of flattery, it's the sincerest form of learning. Now, why I've chosen that quote is because really those simple copies were really the beginning of taking things one step further. They got a taste for what the opportunity was. There's a real opportunity here. These guys who are making these counterfeit products or knockoff products. So learning and getting a bit of a taste for what that opportunity is. If we're copying it like 99% the looks of it, why not just take it that extra one step, that extra 1%? And these are a couple of the results that I've had on my desk. Look exactly like our products to a T, other than we don't have a Hropix color. It's even there on the bottle. We've never made Hropix. Though it's a lovely color, you could probably substitute Tropics for that if you wanted to in the Salon. Pretty Poison, lowercase. There's all of these small little bits that you come across that go, wait a second, this isn't right. As soon as you really uncap it and take a whiff, you know that it is really not right because the product inside is clearly different. You don't know what you're getting in that bottle at that stage. Ingredient listing is copied from our products, but it's not the ingredients inside. Do you really know what you're using? You really only know what you're using and can only trust what you're using if you're actually buying it from an authorized source or a legitimate source. It doesn't have to be us, it can be Georgie, it can be, you know, Sally's, buying from a legitimate company that actually does their work to make sure and has something on the line to make sure that they're doing things literally by the book. There are cost implications with that. So yeah, you've got to be really careful. The fake industry, the counterfeit industry, is a gargantuan industry. But you know, nobody's really going to get you know, allergic reactions from a fake Louis Vuitton bag. But when we start talking about cosmetics, we're talking about something totally different, you guys. You're putting products on the skin, or products that come in contact with the skin, that can be absorbed into the skin, can cause reactions. You know, they estimate that the counterfeit cosmetic market in the UK is over 200 million a year. That's pretty serious. And these guys, trading standards, as Bob was alluding to, these guys are really robbed of resource to be able to go around and tackle this. They keep telling people just to, you know, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. But when they do go in and they do make busts, they make some really significant busts. You know, cosmetic products that you put on your skin containing mercury and other banned ingredients. Products that can cause burns and scarring. You know, all because of counterfeiting. Products that are made in, you know, garages. This is a shot from a raid where they went and, you know, they were basically just a production house for fake products down in London, actually. So no safety standards. You actually don't know what you're getting in your products in any way, shape, or form. But I spoke a little while ago about, or I mentioned about doing things like pack-outs. You know, we would come across dealers who were selling products that actually technically were legitimate, but they were packed out with products that were not legitimate and were not what they said in the bottle. And that's pretty risky. We've also come across products with illegal ingredients and illegal substances in them. Like these guys who are selling on the high street. Selling shellac on the high street. We actually worked with Trading Standards. They actually responded really, really well to this. There was this outlet, high street outlet, that was selling, well, 2 for 20 quid shellac across the board. It was containing ingredients that were banned from the EU. So we worked with Trading Standards. They responded really brilliantly and proceeded to remove all of them from all, I think they had like, I don't know, 8 or 20 stores or something like that across the UK. And actually color me surprised because Trading Standards can be really a bit of a bureaucratic challenge to even, as Bob alluded to, get through to a human being. So there's all of these barriers up. But hats off to them in this particular instance. They really pushed out the boat and cleaned up that market. But diversion and counterfeiting is not a one-size-fits-all fix. One size suits fits all fix, something like that. You know, as soon as you close one door, as soon as you cover one crack, there's another one that opens up. And really the only thing that you can really do is be vigilant as professionals to make sure that you're using legitimate products, products that aren't old or expired, products that don't contain ingredients that could be potentially harmful for your customers, but also harmful for your business. You know, using products like this, you're not going to get the product that you're expecting. You save a couple of quid, but a customer will walk away going, oh yeah, I used that shellac, it didn't work very well. You know, this is the other problem with consumers having access. These guys selling to consumers. Oh yeah, it's shellac, I should just do it at home. It's great. It'll cure under a light bulb. It's brilliant, you'll love it. You know, and then they tell their friends, oh yeah, I used that shellac, or I used that gelish, or yeah, stuff didn't work very well. Never gonna go back to it. So yeah, not good. So it's super important, and we really get to the real crux and the real meat of the situation. Everyone has influence for good or bad upon others. You guys are all here. We're all talking to you about regulations and diversion and things that are really important to our business. And what we really need to be doing is communicating this to the people that aren't in this room. A lot of people don't particularly care. But it's important that they have leadership, and it's important that they have peer leadership to be able to lead and guide the way of why these things are important, whether it's the ingredients that you're using and the products that you're using, the regulatory concerns, the source where you're getting your product from concerns. It's essential for you guys to lead the way and lead the charge on this, because it's the only way we can disseminate this out to the tens of thousands of professionals that don't particularly care or aren't even aware. And it's super important because it's only a matter of time. This is an article from just last year, well, 6 months ago. BBC News, gel and acrylic nails allergy warning. This is bad for us all. This is really bad for our industry. You know, when you start to attract the wrong attention that starts to go, okay, well, look, if you guys can't play with your toys nicely, you're not playing with any of them at all. That's the type of stance that regulatory can eventually take, and that will hurt your business. This already hurts your business. Customers having their coffee chat, talking to one another, you know, saying, oh yeah, did you read that? Yeah, I'm not having that stuff done again. That's awful for you. So it's just not, we have to lead the way to be able to stop these things from happening. I can't implore and encourage you guys enough to make sure that, you know, this isn't about, look, don't buy diverted shellac. It's about buy the product that you're using, make sure it's professional product, ticks all of the boxes, all the regulatory boxes, and get it from its authorized source. These are the guys that are, these are the companies, not just us, it's all of the distributors within the industry that are investing in the industry, trying to raise awareness, investing in education to help prevent allergic reactions, to help support you to be as successful of a professional as you possibly can be. But we can't do that long term if there's a hole in the bottom of the boat where people go, ah, that's good, but I'll, you know, I need to save 5p per application, so I'm gonna smuggle it on in from another source. You know, invest in the companies that invest in the industry and invest in you. It's essential. So, sorry, I missed my little animation. I've got a bad feeling about this. Okay. So the implications of diversion, whether you buy diverted goods or not, the industry-wide implications are issues with HMRC, if you are buying diverted goods, issues with your insurance. I'm not an insurance specialist, so I can't particularly comment, but if you're using products that were bought on, you know, out of some dude in the back of a van selling fish, meat, and some shellac or whatever you're, you know, I don't know how well that particularly stacks up if you're not doing your due diligence to ensure that you're buying legitimate products and using products that are safe as intended for use on your customers. You introduce the fun world of audits. So you keep buying diverted goods in, smuggling them in, they keep getting seized. It's a matter of time really before HMRC go, what is this person up to? And most of all, the industry loses potential customers. We lessen that pool for us to be able to grow as an industry. So I just beg and implore you guys, work with your distributors. They're the ones that are investing in the industry to try to heighten it. And be aware of the really dangerous implications of buying off channel, buying off market. It's bad for you and it's bad for all of us in this room. So, and long-term industry damage. I think I said that about 6 times now. So with diversion, let's make that road ahead closed. Okay. So I think that was almost to Marion's timekeeping standards. But I'm going to stand up here for the next 30 seconds to pad it out to make sure I don't throw her time off. Thank you.